University students in Nigeria have been away from school for 3 months, and it's set to get even longer. The Academic Staff Union of Universities met with the government yesterday for talks, but it rejected the plea to back down from its ongoing strike, leading to a deadlock. Well, President Buhari has appealed to the union to end the strike in the interest of the students and the nation. All right, so how can ASUU and the government break this deadlock? Well, we have in the studio with us the president of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, Professor Emanuel Osodeke. Thank you so much for joining us on Newsnight.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
So here we are again, another meeting ending with, in a deadlock. In spite of the fact that the president has pleaded with you, clerics have pleaded, all kinds of important personalities in Nigeria and outside have tried to weigh in. And yet, there seems to be no way forward. What exactly is wrong? What will it take?
Thank you very much. I don't think there was a deadlock yesterday. There wasn't a deadlock. We met, they gave promises, and we said, fine. We'll have promises over the time, show some sign that those promises will be implemented.
What specific promises were made to you yesterday?
One, they said they were going to retest our UTAS, which we're talking about. They're going to retest it. And this time, they will test the three softwares, which is UTAS, IPs, that have been there since 2006, have not been tested. And the one they call, is it UPP3 or something?
UPs.
Whatever, I don't know the exact name. That they were going to test them together at the same time. That is one. Two, on the issue of the negotiation, they say within the next 1 week, they're going to come out with government positions. So those two things is the major thing they promised yesterday. Then on revitalization fund, they didn't make any commitment. On other issues, they didn't make really commitment. So those are where we ended yesterday. We didn't end, it wasn't a deadlock. So we hope that within the next 1 or 2 weeks, they will call us back and tell us what they have done.
I mean, it's some reprieve to hear you say that was not a deadlock. You've attended so many negotiation meetings. Would you say yesterday was any different? Are you any closer to calling off the strike?
I don't think so. But like we keep on saying, any day the government side become committed to the welfare of Nigerian youth in terms of education, if they are really committed, because I heard the senior president say ASUU, the 2009 agreement is not implementable, it was signed on that duress. Meanwhile, he has not read that agreement. If he had read that agreement, he would not say that. Because agreement is very clear. After the agreement, government started a committee, but our leaders just talk without looking at the issues. There is no that agreement that can be implementable, that can be implemented. We say put 1.3 trillion naira into the system within 6 years, which comes to about 220 billion a year. It's been 12 years now. Even if you have put 100 billion a year, you would have resolved the bill in 12 years, but they didn't. As well, say it's not implementable. But for petroleum subsidy, you can give 4 trillion within a year, and it's implementable. Are you going to compare what Nigeria will get from good university system to what you are going to get from fuel subsidy, which for us as a union believe that don't exist? Because civilian regime, we had 23 years of civilian regime. And you mean 23 years, you couldn't build one refinery. In 23 years, you couldn't build one refinery. So that you stop this importation. We have the crude, excess. Or if you challenge the university lecturer, I can show you in 1 year we'll build 2 refineries.
I believe that ASUU is part of the labor unions, right?
Yes, we're part of the NLC.
You are, but you have never really, I'm not too sure that we have heard ASUU or the labor union, protest the fact that no refinery has been built in so many years. Don't you think really that should have been a fundamental fight?
I don't think that is correct. NLC has actually pushed it for a long time that government should not talk about fuel subsidy because it's planned by the political class. You can't be going to carry your crude. Just like me, I'm a farmer. I farm yam, and I have very heavy tubers of yam. And at the end of the day, I will sell it I will sell it and then buy roasted yam to my. Does it make any sense?
Well, we're buying imported jollof right now and the goosey from China, as we hear. But President Buhari has been pleading. He's saying, ASUU, you need to consider the plight of Nigerian students, go back to class. And on the issue of, subsidy, I recall that ASUU actually asked the government to take out, 200 billion
for the 4 trillion.
out of the 4 trillion.
Simple.
Have you made that case seriously?
We have done that. Look, we are in a public domain. We went on, when we started this strike, the strike that we were on strike 2020, and we signed a memorandum of understanding on how to resolve this issue within 3 months period. As soon as they would call up the strike in 2020, December 2020, they left the whole thing. There's a 2020 we have been pushing them to look at this issue, and they're not interested. Then we started a strike in February. We said 14. We said within 4 weeks they can resolve this problem. We started a strike. Nobody talked to us within those 4 weeks. We are extending by 8 weeks. Nobody talked to us within the 8 weeks. We are now in 12 weeks, and you are saying we are appealing to you.
Do you doubt the sincerity of government?
What we are saying, it is better for the president to say, resolve this problem within 2 days. Okay. Government team come in, has to resolve it within 2 days, and then we call up this strike so that next year we don't start another strike. I say we'll resolve within a short period.
So that brings us to my question, because there is no administration that has succeeded in a smooth run without having the universities shut down one time or the other. What is the lasting solution? Is this sustainable to have the government continue to fund the education system?
All over the world, government fund education.
Solely?
Let me put it straight. As of today, government is not funding education solely. I don't know whether you ask anybody with a child in Nigerian university. You pay for the student accommodation. You pay for their books. Pay for everything you have, health, and what have you. The student pay. When you calculate what the parents are already paying, it's more than what the government is putting in. When we were students, you don't need to go and stay outside, go and hire room in the shanties around the university. You stay in the hostel, standard hostel that can take Nigeria and any place in the world. So today the parents are already. So when we have here this idea that government is paying solely, it's not correct. The students are already paying more than half of what the government is paying. So it's not correct. Let the government look. Let me put it. Go to Ghana here, where we are running to. The Ghana government give between 16 and 20% of their budget to education. South Africa give 15 and 20 to education. We are giving 5.4.
So people have raised the question about the accountability, not so much about funding the sector, but what is happening to the funds being sent to that sector. And that's why they say, let's have this payment system of IPs instead of your UTAS.
IPs is, to me, is the worst thing that happened to this country.
Why is that?
I will speak to you. As I speak to you, go to our university. Our colleagues are not a salary for 24 months, 13 months, 8 months on IPs. As journalists, we should do investigative journalism. Go and get the report of the Auditor General of this federation on IPs. It was never tested. But let me tell you what we were doing before. In the 70s, 80s. A university A will say, in the year 2023, we are going to spend 200 million naira for our project, for our university. Staff salary this, capital fund is this. Then it passed through the budgetary system, through the ministry to the House of Assembly. They will discuss it and approve it and release to the university. The next year, when you are coming for 2024, you have to give account of how you spend the money before you are getting 24. That's what was going on. But federal government has stopped it. Now it's in a Canadian office. Nobody knows what is happening. No university knows how much it's getting.
Right, but has UTAS itself been put to the test?
It has been put to the test, and I will have said it. It scored 99.3%. I have the documentation. 99.3%. The IPs have never been tested. And let me give you this. The university system has autonomous law. And you know the idea that every 5 years, the president of this country will set a investigation panel to the university to investigate how the money has been spent in 5 years. If there's any infraction, you deal with the person. We have to go on strike after 11 years before the government agreed to set a panel to the university. So why are you blaming the university? Government, you should set panel every 5 years to look at what is happening and check whether there have been infraction, and you deal with the person. Jail the VC who committed crime. You dissent for 11 years. We have to go on strike to force you to. I remember we are being on strike now. It's 1 month now since the panel was sent to university. The report is still not out. So who are you blaming?
And now students are on the streets protesting. I wonder what ASUU has to say about that. Are you intervening? Are you in support of that?
We as a university, we are taking our action. The students, they are Nigerians. They also have a right to demand that they should get the best from the government. Right. Education is not a right. It's not a gift. It's a right. Get it it's a right of the students.
That's a good place to leave it. Thank you so much for joining us on the news tonight.
Thank you very much.
Osodeke, President of the Academic Staff Union of Universities in Nigeria.